Hi, people of the Philippines and people of the world. Hit the button below. And you will be subscribing to the Boy Abunda Talk channel on YouTube. Let's keep talking. Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Welcome to The Interviewer. And please welcome a guest. I'm simply going to say he's a change maker, Erwin Valencia. Hi, Erwin.
Hi to the boy. Pleasure and honor to be here.
Thank you for being here. Finally, it happened.
I know.
Welcome home.
Thank you.
You're a clinician. Is that how you say it?
Yes.
Physical therapist,
Yeah.
etc. Talk about it. Talk about all these things.
Well, I think that has been something for me, not only a challenge, but a gift. We all are in search for who we are. The question is, at this moment in time, what is that defined as? And I've been blessed at such a young age to have this curiosity. I think it started as a kid in Davao City, reading Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew. And at that time, Encyclopedia Britannica, that I had to look. Siyempre, back in the day, nobody even had Google, diba? And it's because of that, I think every time I get it, okay, that's who I am now, next. What else is next? Move on. Next, move on. And that's why I think there's so many things I've been interested in that I've become an expert in. Hence the Renaissance man, hence the multi-hyphenate, hence the polymath, if you must. But I
love the polymath.
Yeah.
First of all, where did that curiosity come from? Why were you so curious? Were you encouraged to be curious?
The funny answer is the fact that when I was born, sabi ng mama ko that I had a mole on my foot. So, kiti-kiti daw ako when I was going to grow up. That I was going to find myself traveling and moving around.
So that curiosity led you to many things.
Yes.
And the journey, the story, the curiosity, where did it bring you?
It brought me to fulfilling a dream. And not just my own dream, but dreams of many Filipinos, particularly in the journey towards professional basketball. And that dream was to be one of the first Filipinos ever educated and growing up in the Philippines to be on an NBA court on a daily basis.
Wow. Why the NBA?
Go bigger. And simply that. What is the highest mark of the profession or of the dream or of the leagues that are out there? If a kid in the Philippines that's playing in a court with chinelas or with yapak lang, and then they end up, who did they idolize the most? What is the most challenging, the highest goal you can ever achieve? And I said, that's where I'm going. And the NBA became more clear to me when I was 18.
So what happened next?
So there was one day I woke up, I had an amazing dream. I was so obsessed with that, doing research. I woke up one day and I was like, that's it. I dreamed finding myself in the center of a basketball court. I don't know where it was going to be. I could smell the cologne of the coaches next to me mixed with popcorn in the air. And then I woke up and I was like, that's it. That's what it is. I don't know what that means, but I'm going to do everything in my power to get there. I could smell it. I could feel it. I was like, this is it. I found myself going to PT school because I got accepted to UP.
Physical therapy.
Yes, physical
Here
therapy.
in the Philippines.
In the Philippines.
Right.
So I said, I'll go to UP, I'll go to PT school, because at least physical, I kind of learned. I didn't even know that sports medicine would find me there, but I said, this is the closest thing I could get to. I did that, and then I took my boards here, and then I went to the States. And then when I got back, I still was trying to figure out how to get there. And so what I did is I worked at the clinic just to kind of get my feet wet. And then it took me on a journey of education, of looking at these different degrees. What are the different degrees in the realm of sports medicine? There's athletic training, there's strength and conditioning, there's sports psychology. Yung pala, sports medicine isn't just something reserved for orthopedic surgeons. It's a massive niche kind of industry that all involved in sports, in many different sports. So, okay, cool, we found a direction. So now I did everything I can in my power to be able to get there. And it was so funny because I found myself in baseball, in a sport that
was your entry point.
My entry point, but it wasn't my dream.
Right.
So I left baseball in 2012. And so at the time, actually, I left baseball, I actually had two opportunities. I actually got to the point that I interviewed. By that December of 2012, I already had like 2 opportunities with basketball. So sabi ko, I did the work, I studied, I did 8 years of professional sports, I learned to be the best clinician. I got this. There's this weird sense of like, I've done the work, I deserve this now. And I was in the running for both these two teams, and I didn't get it. I was number 2 in both teams. So I was heartbroken, but also my ego was like hurt so bad. I was like, I thought I did everything. But when that happened, I didn't get this NBA gig in December of 2012. I said, something's telling me that I need to go continue on. So that took me on a almost year and a half, 2 years of
Backpacking again,
being a digital nomad, learning from all these institutions around the world with my own money to spend time in Qatar, which is the best sports medicine hospital on the planet, to go down to Australia, New Zealand, to learn from the gurus, go to Eastern Europe, go even to South Africa, to see who are the best in the world so I can even be better. Maybe that's why the NBA that like checked me right away. Because I thought I was good, but maybe I'm not good enough yet. So it was humbling. It was humbling for me. Pero sabi ko, there's a reason for this. I'm not going to give up. But at the same time, I was teaching. But then on around my birthday, I said, you know what, parang kulang pa. I've been doing this, but it's still not there. I was in Prague. I woke up, for some strange reason, I said, thank you for giving me everything, but if there's something I could wish for, it's this dream I had when I was 18. If you can give me that, the vision that I had, I would never ask you for anything else. And so that day, instead of popping champagne and making it rain in the middle of Prague, I gave hugs to 300 people, strangers complete, pure intention, pure heart. I said, I want to give back on my birthday. And at the end, we were next to the Danube River. And then out of nowhere, of course, some American guy shows up. Medyo lasing na rin siya. He comes in, he was like, hey man. It's like, yeah, I'm here, I work for FedEx and stuff, but I just want to let you know, man, I love what you're doing. Giving hugs on my birthday. And he was like, yeah, but more than that. He goes, there's 30 to 31 days in a month. And sometimes these 30 days, they're forgettable. But today, out of those 30 days in this month, I won't forget this. This is going to be an unforgettable day for my month. And I just want to say thank you. And I was like, wow, that hit me. Is that something that you do that's good in this world can then create this ripple effect. And then 2 days later, lo and behold, I get a call from an NBA team. No application. I literally asked the universe for a dream to come true. And the beginnings of it started happening. And people are like, are you sure? Like, really? You can't even put the words to what that means and how that happened. And the guy that called me was a friend of mine. He was an Australian. He's like, hey, mate, where are you? And I was like, I'm in Prague giving hugs. He was like, would you be interested in a position in sports, in basketball? And I was like, deep inside, I was like, can you give me a minute? Depends. Sabi ko, what are you offering? And he was like, well, this is the position, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, let me get back to you. Let me think about it real quick. But deep inside, I was like, I don't know how this is happening, but let's do it. But that was the first one. 2 days later, I got another call. And then another call. And then within like almost a 2-week span, I had 5 basketball teams calling me. I didn't know what was happening.
Wow.
I was like, and I called my really good friend who was like a mentor to me, who was in the sport, in basketball. And I said, dude, did you tell people that I was available? He goes, no, man. It's like, so where is this coming from?
Where was it coming from?
Well, I don't know. Till this day, I don't know how my words spread. But I know the snowball effect. If this was the period of time when the NBA were looking for these performance directors.
What does a performance director do?
So performance directors are the overall head of the medical and performance staff of a team. So, parang manager siya, above like a physician, above the PTs around, above the strength coach, the nutritionist. So he manages that. He can be one of them, but at the same time, he or she says, hey, okay, what do we got in that? Okay, what do we got to that? Puts it together, presents it to the management or the players so that they can perform at the highest level.
Big deal.
It was a big deal.
Yeah.
And that was the soup du jour, if you must, of that year. Particularly, they were looking for somebody that understood the American ways. They wanted somebody that understood the ground level, the general that actually was a soldier once.
And you did that. And
I did that. I did the work.
Right.
The front runner was the Miami Heat. Eric Spoelstra, Coach Eric.
Another Filipino.
Yeah, so
You could have done a lot of things together.
and
He was a TOFA award.
Yes, I know.
Eric-
So the Miami Heat were the front runners. They're like, we want you to come. You're coming back. Come back to Florida, because at that time I had a house in Tampa. We'll take care of you. Get here. Coach Eric's excited. We can have a talk and blah blah blah. You can do big things in the Philippines together. I was about to go I think I was in Brussels, because my flight was in Brussels, going down back to Florida to get down to Miami, and New York called me, and New York goes, you need to change your flight first. I was like, what do you mean? It's like, we want to talk to you before you get to Miami. It's like, okay, sure. So next thing you know, so I called Miami. It's like, so New York offered me, but I still want to go with you guys. And they're like, if you already have an offer with New York, I would consider it, not only because of the fact you already have the offer, but a chance to work with Phil Jackson. I mean, Coach Spo is great. You guys would do great together. Pat Riley would be great here. You'd learn under him. But how many people in this world can say they worked right and directly close with the Zen Master? And I said, you're right. Not only that, but for me personally, Phil Jackson was my dream. Like, it wasn't Jordan or Kobe, it was Phil. Yeah.
So what happened? So you stayed in New York?
So I went to Florida, but
I used to went to Florida.
yeah, because my home was in Florida.
All right.
So I still at home in Florida.
Okay.
But then because of the fact that I Miami personally was like, you might want to take that already. New York was like, you want to take this already. So I was like, I guess I went to New York. But the biggest reasons why, number one, I wanted to be in a city where everyone who gave me a couch during the time that I was digital nomading would have a place to stay in case they visited New York, especially in a city na parang dinadala away. And also it's a place that everyone would at least have a stopover.
A nomad pays back.
Yes, a nomad pays back.
Yes.
And this time, you're not just gonna get a couch from me, I'll give you a room. Number two of my good friends in the league who called me when that opening happened in New York from different offices were like, dude, we would want you to come here. You'd be great here. We have a family atmosphere, it'd be great here. It's like, cool. 3, I said, if I came back to New York, I wanted to come here in a golden chariot, if you must. I lived in New York before, a struggling clinician, just trying to pay rent and all that. When I came back here, I wanted to be comfortable, and I wanted to be in a position where I was part of a different level of society, if you must, in the respect aspect. And lastly, the opportunity to work with Phil.
Yeah. And a dream was being fulfilled.
Yes.
This was NBA with Phil Jackson. Di ba? Ano pang hahanapin mo?
Exactly.
Ano hahanapin mo? Wow. How was Phil Jackson?
So,
It wasn't also easy for him.
yeah.
It wasn't easy introducing the idea of Zen,
Yes.
of meditation, actually.
At that period of time, the only reason why it was somewhat okay for Phil to do this was because Phil was a hippie back in the 1970s when he won the championship with the Knicks,
Right.
And then he brought that hippiness as a coach, and the Bulls had no expectations at the time. They were the Chicago Bulls. They were not good at all. Who knew that a kid from North Carolina was one day going to be the greatest NBA player of all time, who happened to have a guy who could tap into his inner being and make him a legend. And so, destiny. That's all I gotta say, destiny. And so what's funny for me, my destiny already being fulfilled somewhat, I was like, oh my God, I get to talk to Phil. Phil didn't talk to me for a month. He watched me. Yeah, he watched me, he observed. Being the Zen master he was, he would walk slowly in pace and just look at me, and I'd be like, am I doing something wrong? May ginawa pa akong mali? Ano ba? And then one day, I was getting ice for one of my players during training camp, and I hear this ominous voice from the background. hello, Erwin. Parang James Earl Jones ba yung dating?
Okay.
Hello, Erwin. And they're like, oh, is that Phil? It's like, Mr. Jackson, what's up? And he goes, I heard you were the person I needed to speak about my ailments. I was like, well, what ailments would they be, Mr. Jackson? I'd never get starstruck. He was the first person I ever got starstruck with. And it was one of those like situations like, you want me to help you now? Do you want
Right.
do you need to go to the back now? Ano yung problema natin? Let's do it. Just like, let's talk. Continue on. And then he floated. Parang Yoda. Just like this. I was like, wow.
Wow.
But that became a relationship about learning not only about Phil, about his methods, about his love for the Philippines. You came here pala as an alumni, NBA alumni, and played here and traveled around, wore barong and everything like that. It's like, yeah, I played against those Loizaga boys and this Fernandez guy, you know. I was like, okay, weird. And he kept on telling me, and then, yeah, I became his guy.
What happened next?
Oh, and what happened next was an up and down situation where next you know, Phil gets let go. In New York, if you didn't win yesterday, you're out. And Phil was a team president. He wasn't a coach on the ground level. So sometimes the disjointness between the management side
Happens up here
doesn't
on the
resonate
ground,
on the
yeah.
ground. So, and I get caught in the middle. And so nung na-fire si Phil, I thought I was gonna go. But management said, we love your work, we like what you do, so you make a decision. We could either shake hands, say thank you, move on, or you stay with us, but we may have to bring you down. And sabi ko, you know what? I'm not done here yet. But I'm willing to humble myself, to take the pay cut, to learn again, just like I did back then. I learned, and ironically, when I did, the universe once again intervened because a new head coach was hired. I walk into that head coach's office. I looked at him. His name was Coach Fisdale, David Fisdale, who came from Miami, who was the sidekick of Eric Spoelstra, who I met the year before at a Tony Robbins event. I walk in this office like, yo, coach, what's up? It's like, his wife looked at me and goes, why do we know him? He goes, babe, you were Tony Robbins together for last year. It's like, oh my God, who would have thought that we'd be in the same building? So, coach, are we bringing Tony here to give inspirational talks? Are we bringing Wim Hof here to do breath work? He goes, all of that. And guess what? I want you in charge of all of that. And I was like, wow.
And had you decided to leave the team because you were being demoted, this would not have happened.
Yes. And it was because of that.
Kakampi mo talaga ang uniform.
Yeah.
No?
Yes,
Galing.
exactly.
Okay, talk about the players whose lives you touched.
I'll say this. I think I'm very lucky to be this almost like shaman
Yeah.
for my team. And not everyone in the team resonates with that initially. But then once they understand who I am inside, then they'll slowly begin to ask these questions. And one of these people who noticed that, but then was all in, that I will have to say has been such a joy to work with in my life, is former MVP Derrick Rose. D Rose is a true professional, but also he's on this journey about discovering what's next. Imagine he was an MVP in his first year, he was a rookie of the year, and then got injured.
Yeah.
Imagine what toll that takes mentally, emotionally, and even especially physically, of now suddenly going at the highest point of the mountain, so now you're at the bottom of the sea. And how do you climb up? And so the conversations him and I have are one of like Phil and I, in essence.
So where are you at this point in your life, Erwin?
Where I am, I'm a proud Filipino in the NBA. But that doesn't define me. Because what defines me is what I use that platform for to then give back
Right.
to people back here.
Okay. So in the NBA, exactly what do you do now?
So now I'm the team physical therapist and wellness lead for the New York Knicks. I blend my knowledge and skills as a clinician, but also the side that now has even become the forefront of things because of the pandemic. Allowing, I started the first ever breathwork and intention setting program in the NBA in season.
What does it mean? Intention setting.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
So it's going into, every day, especially thanks to Coach Fizz, he allowed me to have all the players and even management sometimes sit down and then before practice or before games to use breath as a grounding force, but then allowing them to say, okay, what is your intention for today? Let's set that, whether it's to shoot more free throws, whether it's to drive the basket more, so ask yourself.
So how do you do that with breathing?
So I let them breathe first to bring them to the grounding force. And then as they're in their breath, once they go into meditation, then I tell them to set that intention.
We haven't actually started the interview.
Warm up lang pala to.
Erwin, who are you when people are watching? And who are you when people are not watching?
I'm the same. I think I don't try to be somebody different. I am who I am because of all the years that I've become.
And who I am is?
I'm somebody living in the present.
What really matters in life?
The ability to serve others.
And this is the reason that keeps on bringing you back home.
Yes.
You have a quote that says, in order for you to get to where you want to be, visualize it. Prepare for the path, then manifest it. Mm-hmm. Exactly what does it mean?
It means that before you're even trying to get to this goal, ask yourself, why? Can you taste it? Can you smell it? Can you feel it? And only then, once you've gone to the why, and then ask yourself why, and then ask yourself why, and only then can you know what that dream actually is. So you have to visualize it in every possible sense. Prepare for the path, do the work. In order for you to win the lottery, you have to buy the ticket. Mm-hmm. You can't just expect to sit down and then your dream will come true. Do the work, grind it.
Okay.
Not sleep sometimes if you have to, knowing that your path is out there. Third, manifest it. A lot of times when we want something, we hit hard. Parang sinasagad natin masyado. We're like, we have to do it, we have to do it. But when sometimes you have to let go. Because it's when you let go, that's when magic happens.
Wow. How do you explain the power of evil in a situation where you visualize, you think about it, you manifest the noise, the chaos?
Noise, chaos is merely there to distract you from your main goal, to let you answer the question, why?
How do you handle that?
I ground myself. I remind myself of my why, my purpose. I think sometimes people forget that. At the darkest of hours, when the noise is going on, stop. Pause, breathe, reflect, and remember why.
Okay. Just very briefly, talk about the art and science of gratitude. Because I love this.
Gratitude is what I begin my day with and I end my night with.
By saying thank you.
Yes. When you wake up in the morning with gratitude, everything else is a piece of cake. By allowing yourself to take a breath, to remind yourself that you're alive, and to thank God, the universe, that you're alive, everything else is good. If you don't have that, then what are you living for?
Complete the statement. I am Erwin Valencia and
I am Erwin Valencia, and I'm grateful.
I too am grateful. And because I'm grateful, I'd like to do some funny, naughty, fast talk.
I've been warned about this. If there's one thing I've been warned about, it's this. I was like, I don't even know what to expect, what the whole thing is.
Can I give you a piece of advice? Breathe and manifest and laugh. Is it lights on or lights off?
Ooh, lights
and
on.
Why?
On all the time.
All the time. And
yeah.
Why?
I want to see inside people's souls.
Best time for sex and why?
Oh, whoa, I didn't even know that's coming. Wow, we went from, breathing, there you go, and meditate, to get into a meditative state. Yeah, anytime it seems right.
Anytime it seems right. I'll take that. Is that sex or chocolates?
Oh, wow! You make me think of that. Fast talk.
That's part of meditation.
Chocolates. You know why?
Why?
Because sex can come afterwards all the time.
Okay. If you can give your sex organ a name, what would it be and why?
Elvis.
Why Elvis?
Weird story, but funny at the same time. My name was supposed to be Elvis. My grandmother was the biggest Elvis fan, and at that time, my grandfather was the Secretary of Public Works and Highways, and he had access to buy the limo that Elvis used when he had a concert here in the Philippines, and he did for my grandmother.
Wow.
So my grandmother told my father, the youngest boy in the family, said, when you have your firstborn, name him Elvis.
Okay.
Yeah, my dad didn't want that.
Okay.
So guess what? It lives still.
I know. But Elvis is there, alive. And my last question is, how is Elvis doing?
He's fine, thanks.
It's so much fun, Erwin. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Maraming salamat. Take good care of yourself.
Yeah.
Mabuhay ka. Continue to make us proud, to make this country proud.
Thanks,
Really.
boy.
God bless you. Hi, people of the Philippines and people of the world. Hit the button below. And you will be subscribing to the Boy Abunda Talk channel on YouTube. Let's keep talking.